Okay, so welcome to today's lesson. And just before we get underway too much, it's just a quick recap that by now you should have submitted the evidence of technique task that we did last week, where we had all of the different pictures of the dog heads, and we're doing different techniques like resizing, adjusting the hue and saturation, putting filters on, liquefy, all that sort of stuff. So that file needs to be saved and uploaded before it becomes overdue. Now, for today, we're going to be using both our Photoshop skills and also your knowledge of a digital footprint and the work that you've done previously when we did some research and some explanations on digital footprints. And we're going to be kind of merging those together. What you've got to do is you're creating a poster for a primary school student or a 10-year-old to be precise. All right. So to give you a context of what sort of style and language and that sort of stuff to bring into it. So not only do we need to use our knowledge of digital footprint and our knowledge of how to use Photoshop, but we've got to think about a particular audience that we're going to be designing for. Now, to do this, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be getting into Photoshop, which should not be a massive surprise. And we're going to be creating documents that look like this, which are A4 size documents. So I'm going to close out of the two that I've got open so I can show you how to get onto this bit as part of your initial setup. So when we're on the home page, if we click on the new file, and yours should not look anywhere near as messy as mine because I've dealt with lots of previous files and different sizes. So what you can do is go along to the print section up the top here because we're dealing with A4 size of a document. And you can see that there's an A4 here, which is 210 by 297. In millimeters, and that's also 300 pixels per inch, which means that it's pretty close to being photo quality. We can print this out on a color printer, photo quality, it looks nice and sharp, it should look great. So I'm going to select that, and then I'll click create. And there is my document. Now I'm going to do that again, and I'll explain in just a little bit why we're doing it twice. But I'm going to go back onto the home section over here where I've got my mouse, and then I'm going to click new file again. We're going to go through that same process. So print, A4, and then create. All right, so now we've got two documents. So we can access them by clicking on the little tabs up the top here. Neither of them have been named at this stage, and they all look exactly the same here because they're blank A4 documents. Before we progress any further, it's good to look down the bottom here. And if you notice, my zoom is sitting at about 33.33%. Now, if your zoom is anywhere between 15 and 35% and your document looks like this, you're going to be okay. If it's significantly less or way more, then you may have made some little mistake initially with selecting your document template. So it could be worth going back and checking out that you've done that properly. Now, the last little step is that for one of your documents, I'd like you to save it to your OneDrive and call it poster, and it should be saved in a digital tech folder just to help with your file organization. And for the other document, you could call that original images or source images or something like that. And what this is going to be essentially is our dumping ground for pictures that we've found online that we want to use in our poster. So we'll stick them in here just so there's evidence of what they look like beforehand, and then we'll use our poster document to then do all the nice formatting and arrangement and adding in the text and all that sort of stuff later on. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is give you a little bit of time to work on that on your computers. And then once you've got your setup and you've got your two documents and they're both saved to your OneDrive with those names, then you'll be ready for the next step.